So we back again with Testify Sunday. Wasn't really sure what I was gonna testify about. Excuse me, I was thirsty. I wasn't sure what I was gonna testify about because there's so much that the Lord has done for us, for me, so much. Also, a lot of it is in the stories, so I don't want to keep repeating myself, or keep repeating the stories or the same story. So I'm trying to be kind of careful and picky on which ones I talk about. So the one that came to heart today was when God spoke to my baby. What I'm looking at is my laptop for the notes and be able to continue. But yeah, so when God spoke to my baby, I went in the room one day to wake her up for school. This is how it all started. I went in the room one day to wake her up for school, and like from the moment I touched her, and she lifted up and looked up, and she was like, "Mommy, I'm so proud of you," and smiling. And then she was like, "Give me a hug." So I was like, "Okay, baby," with a confused look on my face. I was like, "Proud of what exactly? I just woke you up for the day. Like, what exactly did I do to make you so happy and to make you so proud?" She looked at me and said, "God told me to tell you that you did a good job." Now, okay, I was taken back. I was speechless, you could say. I was speechless because I looked at my baby and I said, "Good job?" And she said, yes, like, yes. God told me to tell you that you did a good job. Now, the reason why I was confused, because what my baby did not know was the day before, right? Previously, she had no clue. I was texting all day, right? And the person that I was texting was trying to convince me that God was not good. So to put it all in a nutshell, to make it all make sense, that person was trying to convince me that God was not good, and was telling me that God was not real because he allowed so many bad things to happen to children. And I had to explain to the fool that the lesson was not that person's lessons to learn, or to be understood. Like, the things you don't understand, that means it's not meant for you to understand. It's not your lesson to be learned. So what I was trying to explain to the person was to stay focused on what was for you and not everything else and for everybody else. Like, focus what's for you. And we spent a few hours going back and forth about why God is not good, and I was saying why God is good, and we just kept going back and forth. And I believe that the person wanted me to leave the situation feeling like God was not good, and or just to agree with, like, yeah, you're right. You're right, he's not good. But instead, I was like, no, you're wrong. He is. And just kept going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. but it was draining, extremely draining. Right? But it did not change my mind, thoughts, or nothing about God. So it didn't work. So for her to wake up and say that God said you did a good job, I was like, this can't be real. But then at the same time, it wasn't a conversation. It was never a conversation. Like, it wasn't something where she could actually hear me speaking. It was a text. So the only way she would have known that is if she was reading my texts, which she wasn't, because I had my phone with me the whole time, the entire time. And what's even more strange and weird about this is I doubted, which is really kind of strange for me, but I doubted the message until now, no one knew that I doubted the message. I kept it to myself. I was excited, like, word, baby, that's really nice. That's dope. No one knew that I doubted the message. Not even my baby. I, kept it to myself. I told no one. Kept it to myself. It was right here in my head. So the only person that could have known was God, because I never ever voiced that I doubted that God told my baby that I did a good job. Like, that's real deep. Right? Like, those are things you hear when it's over. I'm like, was looking around like, is it over? So for her to say that, yeah, it was kind of deep. So the next day, God was like, oh, you don't believe that I sent this message? So the next night, right? Again, she didn't know. I didn't tell her anything. She had no idea. So the next night, same thing. Went to her, good morning, baby. Rise, shine, it's time to get up. Like, thank God for another day. She turned around after I said all of these things that I say every day, every morning. She said, God told me to tell you you did a good job. She said it again. So I smiled. Like, I just smiled. Like, from my heart, I smiled. It was another message. Second day, saying exactly the same thing. I was like, wow. And of course, they say children, animals will see spirits, and so do children. They see spirits, and God speaks to children, give messages to children. And this is what she said, that God said, you did a good job. So when I questioned it in my heart, he told her to tell me again a second time. And this time, I just smiled and laughed and smiled and thank God, because I knew for sure that it came from God, for it to be a second time, a second dream. It was so beautiful. Yeah, so she had no idea, again, what was in my head and heart. I was actually questioning my baby, and innocently, God informed me that the message was indeed from him. And at this point, I had no question, like absolutely no question at all. I was actually ashamed. Like, I always believed everything else that my baby would come and tell me about her dream. So how dare I question this? How dare I question God? But this is exactly what the devil wants, to interfere in your thoughts and your prayers with God, and to have you confused and to make you wonder. And I was just encountering the devil the day before, telling me how God is not real and why they don't think God is real and all the bad things. So I'm like, okay, you definitely can't be for or with God. So yes, that conversation was definitely draining, like draining. And I no longer speak to that person because that energy is really draining. And nobody got time for that. So if the conversation is not uplifting, educational, motivational, spiritual, or financial, there's really nothing to talk about. So yes, Testimony Sunday. My baby gave me a message from God that she had in a dream, and yeah, it was beautiful. So I will be giving another story next Sunday, next week. Stay tuned.